Hello from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant. We welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. Most Kentuckians live in cities or towns, and later we'll meet the new president of the Kentucky League of Cities. But first, Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Charles Booker is here with us. Booker is a former state representative. He lost a bid for the U.S. Senate in 2022 to incumbent Republican Senator Rand Paul when Booker was the Democratic nominee. This time, though, there is an open U.S. Senate seat because of the impending retirement of longtime Senator Mitch McConnell, and Booker is in the hunt once again. This time he faces a crowded field of Democrats. It includes Amy McGrath, Dale Romans, Pamela Stevenson, and Logan Forsyth. The winner will take on whoever emerges from the crowded Republican primary. And Senate candidate Booker is joining us today. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Always good to see you, Bill.
You took a year or two off from campaigning, didn't you?
just a little break.
You're right. You appear on your website in a shirt that says Kentucky is worth fighting for.
That's right.
What is the fight about in your view?
To me, the fight is for family. I always share that my granddad taught me that you fight for family. I'm one of 70 grandkids, so it was a lot of folks, and I was taught at an early age that if you stand together, you're stronger. And the people of Kentucky are my family, and we've been hurting for a long time. And so running for Senate is really just saying that we deserve real change, real leadership that will not screw us over, but prioritize us. That's my platform, and I've ran on it for several years now, so this feels like Rocky 3, but we're at a moment where my message is, it's not seen as radical anymore. A lot of people understand that we need to meet this moment as family, and that's what this fight is about.
You think times really have changed?
I think this is a moment whose time has come.
In other words, you're acknowledging you may have been ahead of the curve a few years ago.
Well, you know, some folks said it was a little novel to see a black man from the hood going out in the hollers talking about how we can stand together from the hood to the holler. But I think the roots that have taken forth have shown that regular people know that if you're connected to the struggle, if you're really going to fight for the change we need, that there's a coalition that's ready. And I'm fired up to be a part of this.
Well, Representative Booker, your campaign calls for Medicare for all, universal basic income, reparations, and universal child care. Do you have concerns that progressive stands like that might get you through a Democratic primary, but might not translate so well in a fall campaign in Kentucky?
Oh, no, I'm fired up. Not only are we in position to win the primary, I've been the front runner since getting in the race, but we're also in a neck-and-neck position with the Republicans running all of them, because this is exactly the platform that Kentuckians are looking for. We want poverty to end. We don't want to hand down debt to the next generation. We want things to really change. We don't want to just talk about them. So my policy really is a reflection of the people, and it may be unexpected because a lot of times politics is shaped and geared toward the billionaires and the big money corporations, but regular people are fed up with that. And that's why they're standing with me.
President Trump won this state by 30 points. How does a Democrat win in that situation, given that Kentucky has not elected a Democratic U.S. Senator since 1992, Wendell Ford's last victory?
Well, you know, I think this moment is bigger than party, and that's what hood to the holler means for me. It's not about Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's about Kentuckians. And if you look at the map, especially seeing how I overperformed, especially in 22 when I became the first black Kentuckian to be a nominee for U.S. Senate, is that a lot of the same people who voted for Trump voted for Bernie Sanders. There were a lot of areas where there were Trump signs and Booker signs in the yards. So this is really a moment where folks are saying, who's actually in it for us? Who's going to fight for us? Who's going to have an agenda that meets our needs to help us get more money in our pockets, to make sure that we don't have to ration medicine or that our loved ones aren't sleeping on the streets because there's no place to call home. And my platform is really about the changes we need, and that's why organized labor is standing with me. That's why the Working Families Party is standing with me. That's why we're leading in the polls, and it's why we're going to win.
You said in a debate several times that you were not supported by Chuck Schumer. What does that mean?
Well, I don't come from big money politics. You know, I think you don't have to look at me long to know I'm not a conventional candidate in these spaces. And so the national Democratic establishment, party politics in general at the federal level, ignores Kentucky. And I'm just making it clear that I'm not for sale. My average contribution is $26. This is really funded by and fueled by community. It's a testament to working people. And we don't need those out-of-town or big money folks to tell us what to do. We're going to lead for the future right here.
You call again for universal child care. How would that work? Would you support government-run daycare facilities?
Well, I think that there are opportunities to provide government investments and incentives and support to make sure that no matter where you are across the Commonwealth of Kentucky, you have child care, even if you don't have money in your pocket. And I've been working with Governor Beshear the last couple of years, and of course he has led a campaign across the Commonwealth to say that pre-K should be universal. And you're seeing a bipartisan coalition get behind this. So the question isn't really how do we pay for it? It's why haven't we done it yet? Similar to Medicare for All. You know, a lot of folks will say, well, how do you pay for it? We're already paying for it. It's time we just finally prioritize it and make it happen.
You have called for abolishing ICE, and you have called it a rogue agency. How would you like to see immigration policy and laws enforced in the country, or change in the country?
Yeah, we need to address our immigration system, but it needs to be rooted in humanity and not cruelty. The idea that a human being is illegal is not only wrong, but it's been used as a wedge to drive us apart, and it hurts all of us. Our loved ones from other countries help support this economy to the tune of over $1 billion annually, and there's no way that we could simply deport our way into a safer future, because the majority of folks who are here undocumented, their only quote-unquote infraction is that their paperwork is not updated. So instead of simply deporting everyone, let's invest in making sure people can go through legal processes. If we abolish ICE, there's so much funding that is actually available to address efficiencies in the system. And I have been one of the first in this campaign season to formally call for the abolishment of ICE, to say that we cannot address immigration by having this agency terrorize communities, killing innocent people, putting children in cages. I think everyone understands that that's wrong.
Are you optimistic, and this week there's a new director of Homeland Security who is going into office, are you optimistic that it will change now?
It'll change, because when we flip Kentucky, we'll flip the Senate. I have no faith whatsoever in anyone that comes out of the Trump administration. At this point, they have all shown they're part of the Epstein class. They're all chasing big money. They're all chasing corruption in our faces. And I expect nothing less from the new appointee.
Can we power this economy without a steady flow of immigration into the United States?
No. Our economy is fueled because of all the diversity that is at the table, all the ingenuity that comes. And so many of us have a story of ingenuity from around the world. This is the beacon where if you want to have a part of the American dream, you come here. And so the idea that we could deport millions of people who are hardworking, that abide by the law, that pay taxes, is not only foolish, but it would tank the economy. And you're seeing the Trump administration really unraveling so much progress in real time with these tariffs, with all of the reckless attacks on the TSA, government employees that have lost their jobs, but deporting people across Kentucky and across the country that are tax-paying and vested in this country succeeding.
Of course, the TSA situation, you'll acknowledge, is a government shutdown that is a result of a standoff in Congress right now. Both parties complicit in that, and the Democrats calling for the immigration reforms in order to push that through.
Yeah, well, we've seen, and now you're even seeing Republican members of the Senate call out that there has been a bipartisan solution put forward to fund TSA, to fund all of DHS minus ICE. I think there is a growing chorus that ICE, it's not enforcing immigration laws, it should be abolished. But Trump has actively said that he doesn't want to support a solution, that he wants to see more infighting. Chaos is his strategy. So this falls squarely at the feet of Donald Trump, and I think the people of Kentucky are seeing that, which is why they're standing with me.
Mr. Booker, you call for a working people's Bill of Rights, and
That's
it
right.
comes at a time when artificial intelligence will obviously at some point do away with many jobs.
Yeah.
Do you have concerns about that?
I absolutely do. And I believe anyone running for office right now, if they don't have a plan to make sure the people of Kentucky are protected in the wave of AI, that really is disqualifying, because as you mentioned, this is a technology that it's with us now, and whole industries will be dramatically changed. I see this as an economic revolution. And so my Working People's Bill of Rights is about centering the people, making sure there's a jobs guarantee, making sure that we are protecting the hardworking people of Kentucky from this proliferation of data centers that are unchecked, that are jacking up utility costs, that are causing a lot of pollution, that are really running over regular people, and making sure that we enact policies like Medicare for all, universal basic income, universal pre-K, invest in our infrastructure.
What does universal basic income look like?
Well, this is something
and who funds it if the jobs are lost?
Yeah, so there's a conversation that's been growing for years, and I'm so glad we're finally here where it's not radical anymore to say that people deserve financial freedom. We built this economy, and especially with the tech industry and AI, so much of it is built on the backs of working people, so they deserve an equity stake in it. I've said this for years, and there are ways that we can make sure that Kentuckians get dividends from this booming industry, but also there are broader conversations about how we can leverage universal basic income. Dr. King spoke about this when he said that people deserve a guaranteed annual income regardless of whether they're working full-time or not. We need to finally invest in people. We bail out billionaires. We give tax breaks to corporations. Let's finally invest in the people of Kentucky.
But I mean, does everybody get a check? Wealthy people as well would get a basic monthly income, or?
Well, I think there's ways that you can flesh out whether there are qualifiers or metric points where folks who exceed a certain income maybe graduate out of it. Those are things that can be hashed out. But ultimately, it is a promise that if you are in this country as an American citizen, you shouldn't have to decide whether to put food on the table or keep a roof over your head. And I see the majority of people in Kentucky are standing with me in this, which is why I have so much support from organized labor, from grassroots organizations. This is the time.
Do you support or oppose the military action involving the U.S. and Israel against Iran?
Well, I've found myself being the anti-war candidate in this race, and I carry that with pride. I believe we need to end endless war, and I absolutely disagree with what Trump has done to our country and to our loved ones. We've already lost our family, some here in Kentucky, getting ready for funerals this week. The conflict that has come before us is not just about Trump's ego. Innocent lives are being lost, the economy is being flipped upside down, and all of us are less safe. Senate needs to act now to stop this rogue, warmongering president, and I will absolutely be a vote to do that.
Senator McConnell, who will be wrapping up more than 40 years in the Senate, has been certainly criticized by the Democrats and then also criticized on the Republican side in that primary. Yet he has brought a lot of money to Kentucky in terms of programs and projects, some $60 billion over his tenure, almost $3 billion this last year he's in office. Regardless of who takes this seat, won't it take quite a while to get into position to be able to bring such assets to Kentucky?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Mitch McConnell because thank goodness he's leaving. He has been screwing us my entire life. Literally, he was elected when I was 2 weeks old. And you're right, he has over the years brought resources to Kentucky. He's used it to build power for himself, but along the way he forgot about us. And I think that's why you're seeing a bipartisan coalition saying that it's time for that type of politics to go away. And no, I don't think it'll take long to enact the changes we need to see because so many people are desperate. We're seeing people hurting across the country and they're fed up. These No Kings demonstrations that are happening, that'll be taking place this weekend, these are people that are all over the political spectrum that just know things have to change. So I intend to go to Washington with the people of Kentucky, and we're going to bring the voice that's needed and enact change quickly.
What should we know about the final weeks of this campaign for the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate from you?
Well, the choice is clear. I have been proud to be a part of a movement. This is bigger than me. This is my third run, so this is like Rocky III, but what we have built is something that is truly incredible. It's beyond the big money. It's beyond the politics of old. Regular people from the hood to the holler that have been organizing and lifting up community. And because of that, I'm leading the Democratic field by double digits, but I'm also neck and neck with the Republicans running. The guy Elon Musk gave $10 million to, I'm tied with them. So this is a moment to win. And I'm excited to be a part of it.
Charles Booker, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it very much. U.S. Senate candidate on the Democratic side. Stay with us on Kentucky Newsmakers. We're coming back in a moment with Paul Sandefur. He is heading the Kentucky League of Cities this year. We're back with that in a moment. Welcome back now to Kentucky Newsmakers from WKYT. It may not fit the stereotype, but most Kentuckians do live in cities or towns. Kentucky's League of Cities represents the communities. It helps them share ideas and get things done. The president for this year ahead is the mayor of Beaver Dam in western Kentucky. Paul Sandefur is joining us here on Kentucky Newsmakers. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it very much.
You represent cities of all sizes, like your own.
All sizes, yes.
Close to 4,000.
Mine's just shy of 4,000.
Right.
All the way up to Louisville and Lexington.
And so what do they all have in common?
Well, they all are trying to take care of the basic needs of their citizens. The small towns have just as much problem as the big towns, just on a whole lot different scale. You know, we have to take care of police, we have to take care of fire, we have our water and sewer needs, you have your sanitation needs, the streets, just like everyone else, and a lot of it's just different scale.
Does the league share a lot of ideas? You know, mayors
absolutely.
Get together. You've all had the same problems.
We've all had the same problem, and we try not to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
The excellent thing about the league is that it's there for all cities. We can do everything. They work with us on legislative issues. They work with us on legal issues, training of city officers, city employees, products. We have our own insurance company that can take care, and they specialize in municipality insurance, so to speak, and a lot of the other products and stuff we can get from the league is all geared towards municipalities, so it's specialized to what the cities need.
Yeah, and try to keep some pressure on the legislature.
We try. We try.
So the session is nearing an end. Does the league have some priorities that you hope to see across the finish line, or that have?
Well, we've got some that's worked on. One of them that has actually passed and gone on and been signed is some funding for storm shelters. I know there was some push for regional storm shelters, community storm shelters, and one of the mayors in West Kentucky in Morgantown, Mayor Phelps, came up with the idea of maybe helping some local residents cost share a storm shelter if they agree to share space with others in their community to kind of get outside of either the city or even out in the counties. And that one has passed, and that's one coming from a grassroots, coming from a small town like my own, was really kind of special to us to get off the ground and going.
Yeah, that's been an interesting one, because I think that there are questions about, well, when a storm comes, do the neighbors come as well?
Exactly.
Which would be the rule, right?
You know, a lot of cities have shelters they'll open up, but if you live 4 or 5 miles away, or in our case, our counties are so large, maybe 20 miles away, it's nice to know if you've got something a little closer.
Yeah.
And of course, like anything else, we're working on the housing situation and some planning and zoning items and what have you.
Let's talk about that. A real housing shortage in Kentucky. Looks like that's the case in every part of the
everywhere.
state. Yeah. Do you think there are some initiatives that might help with that? I know there is one bill that's pretty comprehensive in the House that's being looked at right now.
They're looking at some,
bill,
a lot of them they're looking at is dealing with land use, which as a mayor of a city, I take exception to a little bit. I feel our cities, whether it's a city in West Kentucky or a city in Eastern Kentucky, have a little bit better handle on what they need for their land use in their communities and the special circumstances for each community. I know in our community, rent is fairly expensive, and most people could afford a mortgage payment if they could get in that down payment. And I would like to see them personally look on something that would work with that and
more
try
to
help to get the people into the housing. Some of the things they're looking at right now, again, a lot of this is my opinion, just from what I've worked with in our city, is going to do more to help the developer. Because the houses are going to sell at market value. The market's going to determine what they sell for. So anything that's done to bring the cost down is going to go to the developer.
You made earlier reference that you know, the cities know more than maybe the state does about the particular issues, but I think there is that pressure even nationwide on the cities to loosen up the zoning restrictions, you know, to allow perhaps manufactured housing in some areas where where it has not been, or to, you know, density rules, or even to change commercial zones to residential in some areas. Is it tough for cities to be given that as sort of a mandate if it came in that form?
It is a little bit. When you go to some of your residents who have built their home and been there for a number of years and felt they were in a neighborhood where they didn't have to worry about a convenience store being right next door to them, and it's like, well, the state has said, you know, we need to loosen up on this, whether it be commercial or industrial or residential. You know, a 8-unit apartment complex going up in the middle of a neighborhood that's been single family housings all these years. It's hard to sell that to the residents when it's something that the city might not have any control over anymore.
And yet, as we've noted, the need is real.
The need is real
for housing.
The need is real, and I think, and our city's been pretty good about it, trying to work around everybody's needs and find areas that would work for higher density. You want to make sure that we can handle it with the sewer systems can handle it, the water systems can handle it, the streets can handle it. Not everything is, you can do a lot of things on paper, make it look good, but to make it work out in reality, it doesn't work real well when you come into a small city who may be struggling anyway as far as their utilities is a prime example, and infrastructure, and say, well, you've got to upgrade your utilities now in order to do this. I know one of the things was talking about parking. They should say, okay, a single family or even if it's a multifamily should only require one parking place. Well, where are you going to put them? They're like, well, make the streets wider. Do you know what it costs to make a street wider? You're just transferring that cost from one place to another, and usually it's being transferred to the city.
Well, how much do cities worry about and have to deal with unfunded mandates when the state makes new rules but does not provide any money to take care of that need?
Sometimes it can be a real issue, a real problem. I know there is a law in the books now where they're not supposed to pass unfunded mandates, but we all know a new law come up supersedes and overrides a lot of that anyway. But it's one thing that we try to encourage them to really watch, because the money is, again, the cost is being transferred from one area to another.
Even if it's a rule you have to enforce.
We have to enforce,
yeah.
Yes.
KLC's made a push over the years for some looser rules for revenue generation, possibly allowing local sales taxes or at least local sales taxes for specific projects for a period of time. That doesn't seem to be getting much traction.
Well, it's not getting a lot of traction in the legislature, and honestly, it won't get a lot of traction with the public unless we can educate and make them understand what's going on here. Right now, the cities are extremely limited on what revenue they can generate, pretty much from occupational tax and property tax and like your insurance premium taxes, and that's it. Property taxes are not popular, and I understand that. You feel, why should you pay taxes on something you've already bought and paid for it, and now you're paying taxes year after year after year? If the rules, as you say, were loosened up a little bit where we could do maybe a sales tax, you might could lower that property tax, and then that sales tax would be people outside of your city helping to fund the city services they're using when they drive on your city streets to work or school or shop, whatever.
That would be to add a penny or so to the state sales tax.
Then work on trying to lower the tax burden on the homeowners or your occupational tax, your local income taxes.
That requires a change in the Constitution.
That requires a change in the state Constitution.
KLC gives you a chance, as we said, to share ideas about what does and doesn't work out there. So you often borrow ideas from other cities?
Oh, absolutely. We'll go around, and one thing I like to do, traveling on the highway, and we'll be driving off, and I'll get off the interstate, and my wife's like, where are you going? I'm like, well, the sign back there said historic downtown, so I want to know what's so historic about it, and what are they doing that we might could borrow. And we have a lot of different sessions at our conferences about what cities are doing, whether it be tourism related or training, how to get younger people involved in the system, anything we can come up with an idea.
How do you do that?
It's tough. If somebody can figure it out, I wish they'd let me know, because I've been really trying to get it in our community to get younger folks. And I understand their families, they've got kids, they're involved in sports, they're involved in academics, and usually a two-income household, they don't have time. And I understand that, but we still want to try to get them involved somehow for the future.
How important is tourism to the towns? I know you have a strawberry festival, a big amphitheater that's been drawing crowds when you bring folks in. How important are those local events, or those? How important is it that towns ensure that people have a chance to have a good time?
Well, it's important for your local citizens just to give them something to do. You want them to have pride in their community, and in order to have pride in it, you've got to give them something to be prideful for. And we've done our Strawberry Festival now, I think we're in about 30 years. And it's very popular with the locals and a lot of people from out of town. And we have our Sparks in the Park for 4th of July. We do an Oktoberfest. We do a big Christmas festival. Stuff to try to do that's very low cost for your local residents. In our case, on the tourism side, Beaver Dam is located in Ohio County, which is Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, was born in Ohio County, about 6 miles from Beaver Dam in Rosine, Kentucky. So music has always been a big part of our community. Well, the city of Beaver Dam, 12 years ago, we built an amphitheater in our city, in downtown. We can accommodate about 6,000 people, and we do concerts usually 12 to 14 times a year, and it's been a huge impact on our community. We had an economic impact study done, finished up last December, And for the last year, we had all the data for was 2024. We had the amphitheater had about a $10 million impact on our community, about a $22 million impact in our region, which I'm proud of the fact we're part of a regional effort on tourism.
It's major. How important is it that cities do think regionally? That there tends to be rivalry, of course.
Right.
The next door town has something you want, but sometimes it makes best sense to have something that everybody can use in the whole region.
Everybody needs to think
outsiders.
regionally. It's about the only way to survive anymore. You financially cannot do everything, especially in a small community. We hear a lot of times in our community about a water park, and right next door in Litchfield, we've got a very big water park and a nice facility. Morgantown to the south of us has got a big pool. Why would we try to compete with that when it's that close and you're just duplicating services when money's tight and you really want to watch your resources you have and utilize them wisely?
I have just a few seconds left. You've made the statement that you think cities need to be growing or you're going backward. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we appreciate you coming in, Paul Sandefur, with
Glad to be here.
the
Thank
League
you
of Cities and the mayor there in Beaver Dam.
Thank you very much.
You want folks to stop by and see you?
Come see us in Beaver Dam.
Okay.
Yes.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
In just a moment, we'll wrap up Kentucky Newsmakers from WKYT. Before we go, the Kentucky League of Cities has the Cities Helping Cities license plates that are out there available when you renew your registration, and money from those goes to help those cities still recovering from the tornadoes and the other damage that we've had across Kentucky. Cities Helping Cities, the license plate, so show your pride in your town. Thank you so much for joining us for Kentucky Newsmakers. We hope you make it a good week ahead.